Anyway, want to see people get mad about this? We have the centralized bulwark of American fascism, Morning Joe.
In New York City, go, oh, the Democratic Party is so far left. I actually saw one guy who's fairly respected have the nerve to say, oh, well, this just proves that if you're in the Democratic Party, you have to be crazy to win. I'm thinking, wait, this from Trump's MAGA Republican Party? But, you know, they're going to focus on New York City, and they're going to ignore the admiral winning in South Carolina, a woman who's committed her entire life to protecting and
they're gonna everyone's focusing on New York, the biggest American city and the center of the world and the beating heart of America. But what they're failing to acknowledge is some fucking nobody won in South Carolina.
Defending the United States of America. They're also going to ignore a woman just up the road that's going to be running against Mike Lawler, who was a Bronze Star was awarded the Bronze Star 3 times. She was Special Ops, one of the first women to ever lead Special Ops units. She toured Afghanistan.
Is this a fucking joke? Seriously? Our candidates? Well, we have somebody who, like, I don't know, carved Nordic runes into the flesh of newborns in Afghanistan for fun. What are you talking? Oh, wow, a special forces agent. So what's their qualification for being a politician? That they're a fucking psychopath?
And Iraq had 6 tours there. A bona fide war.
Anybody who signs up for 6 tours is genuinely like a bloodthirsty psychopath. I'm not joking, okay? Listen, there are 2 kinds of people in the military, all right? There are people who sign up for college benefits, whatever else, and there are people who keep going back because they love blood. The whole point of special forces is that you find the 1% of your army that loves killing, that genuinely is like a fucking psychopath, and you move them over into special forces so they do shit without asking questions, okay? Which one is Plattner? Plattner might... Listen, he's our guy. Plattner might be a little silly.
This is, I gotta say, this is what the Democrats are proving themselves.
He's different now.
Really, to be really pragmatic, if you look at what they did last night, New York City, they go far, far left. That'll work for New York City. In places like...
Cope, look at Maine. Cope. Giga Cope.
Lawler's district, which is a swing district, South Carolina, 1 swing district, finding these military...
I never understood this line from Zionist Dems, too. Like, oh, socialists only win in deep blue districts. Okay, you know who that means? You know what that means? That means Democrats like the socialists. That means the more Democrat a district is, the more they like the socialists. What point are you trying to make? What you're arguing is that the base of your constituency it likes us more than you. That's the bet. Like, your strongholds are our strongholds. Like, I don't understand the argument being made. Oh, you're a socialist, huh? Well, you only win when Democrats are voting for you. Unlike us, the real Democrats, who only win when it's independents voting for us. What are you talking about? You're not making any sense.
Heroes, much like they did with the New Jersey race, Mikey Sherrill, and in Virginia, Spamberger, while they were electing a socialist in New York City, Mamdani. It worked then. We'll see if it works this fall.
Yeah, these are congressional races. These are not statewide races. So it's not terribly surprising that someone to the far left won the Upper West Side or won areas of Brooklyn. It is impressive that Mayor Mamdani, in his short term in office, was able to sort of bless these candidates, and some of them winning overwhelmingly and unseating incumbents. Dan Goldman losing by 30 points in his district. The incumbent and Congressman Espaillat, who is a major figure in congressional Hispanic caucus, the leader of that caucus as well, he was unseated in a closer race there. So, yes, as the New York Times says this morning, Mamdani showed he can be a kingmaker, but to make this a national story and not look at what you just discussed, which is the race.
It's so fucking crazy that Mamdani can be a political juggernaut for like 40 more years. It's so fucking cool, man. They're gonna have to do something about him, man. There's no fucking way they're beating the Mamdani machine anytime soon in a fair democratic playing field.
up in Westchester County, where Mike Lawler is going to have a tough fight because a lot of the support he's shown for Donald Trump, and in South Carolina and other places where it turns out, Jonathan Lemire, in specific congressional districts, Democrats pick candidates that they think can win. In this case, in New York City, some of those were socialists.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats feel good in recent cycles since the 24 disaster about finding the right candidates for the right races. I was talking to some Democrats yesterday who reminded us, as we look towards this November, the success that Democrats had running moderates for the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia. They won both. But yet, and we're seeing the same there in South Carolina. They feel very bullish about a lot of races coming up this fall. But yes, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And in New York City,
they only say this when the left wins, by the way. If there's a big moderate win, like a big wave of moderate wins, they never do this in the other direction. They're never like, oh yeah, well, moderates picked up seats in these swing districts, but like, to be clear, it's a mix, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You need like far left candidates to really dominate. They never do this. It's Cope exclusively reserved for reminding people they're relevant, even if it doesn't seem like they're relevant.
Certainly, that's the story here, is Zohran Mamdani, in his early days in office, having significant coattails, being a kingmaker and picking off. You're choosing, Joe, to use his political capital.
Also, I do agree that to an extent Mamdani's being a kingmaker here, but what they're not mentioning, which is, in my opinion, kind of important, it's not just Mamdani, it's also that, like, the voters fucking hate you. Like, it's not just Mamdani. Mamdani isn't just like a random guy who's popular. He represents an ideology that is ascendant. It's like the will of the voters. It's not just like personal favoritism.
To pick off some incumbents, to put in some of his sort of more of like-minded fellow travelers, more to the left than others. I mean, Dan Goldman has a record that a lot of Democrats pretty happy with the exception of some of the support for Israel in the months after the war. And also, there's also here in New York, there's sort of the Latino political machine also showing its age. I think that's part of it as well. That's a subplot to what happened here. But no doubt, what worked in New York City, Democrats aren't trying to replicate it other places. It's not one size fits all.
Yeah, a lot of things going on here. And Jonathan, we're going to have you put on your daily news hat here. I personally thought when Mamdani came out and endorsed all these people, I thought too soon. Because even if you win in those cases, and he did, and he should be saluted, it's extraordinary political machine there. And he's going to build a lot of power as a kingmaker in New York City. A lot of scar tissue. When you're
not talking about the voters here, I'm noticing.
Mayor of New York City with a lot of people, even if you win those races. But he's proven himself to be a brilliant political operator. I'm sure he'll sort through that. I just hearing a lot of people talking about the anti-Semitism in New York City, and last night proved the anti-Semitism in New York City, and this is Mamdani's fault, this is so-and-so's fault, this is this left. No, it's not. It's really not. If you want to blame anybody for what happened last night, my opinion, if you want to blame anybody, Jonathan, I think you have to blame Benjamin Netanyahu. 4 years of
Jesus fucking Christ, dog. Oh my fucking God. You know what? I'm gonna pull the card. I actually think this is anti-Semitism. I think this is conspiratorial anti-Semitism. It's not fucking Netanyahu, dog. It's the Democratic Party's constant capitulation to him. They got a scapegoat Jew. It's genuine. Like, what the fuck? It wasn't that. If the Democratic Party had acknowledged that he's a genocidal, warmongering fuckface, like, early on, you wouldn't be in this position. You could actually polarize people against him and boost your own popularity with negative polarization. You did this. You did this, man.
Maximalist aims. 4 years of ahistoric goals in the Middle East that anybody, from Dr. Brzezinski to even me, could have told anybody over the past 20 years, it's not going to work.
And yet,
and I've said it all along, there's always blowback in the Middle East. The idea that you're going to be able to brutalize children and women in Gaza.
One day, everyone will have always been against this. Look, I'm happy that we have the cultural power required to get Joe Scarborough to pretend that he's always been a militant opponent to the brutality of Netanyahu's regime. It's great. It's nice that we can force him into that position, but also go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. You're going along with them.
With bombing that looks indiscriminate on TV day in and day out for years, that you're going to be able to level half of Lebanon, that you're going to be able to continue to allow thugs to run wild in the West
Just
Bank?
like every Democrat in America waking up to turn on MS Now to follow the races in New York, and he's like, we got to remind them that we're on their side. Fuck, we can't be Zionist anymore, man. You can't win elections as a Zionist.
And brutalizing Palestinians, brutalizing Christians in Bethlehem, brutalizing Christians across that area, along with Palestinian Muslims.
Notice how nothing he's saying right now has anything to do with what happened last night. This is literally just a virtue signal to the audience. Guys, we're not Zionists. We actually always disagreed with this. We were always opposed to this. Never, don't look at all the things I've said and done.
Especially Palestinian Muslims blowing up Catholic churches in Gaza. Of course, I'm saying things that would relate to some of these people who were so shocked that Israel is in such low standing in America right now. Forgive me for a quick digression, but I was always instinctively pro-Israeli and anti-Palestinian growing up. You know why? Because when I was a young child, one of my first memories was this.
This is like really shameless. This is like shockingly shameless from him. Like a 2-minute, it's literally just him seeing the writing on the wall. He wakes up and sees which way the wind is blowing. Dog can have another like 25 years to his media career. He sees which way the wind's blowing. And he's like, oh fuck, god damn it.
72 Munich Olympics. When Palestinian terrorists killed Israelis, and it was shocking, and we saw time and time again terror attacks throughout the 70s. That shaped an entire generation's views on that conflict. Well, what's shaping the views now? Images out of Gaza, images out of the West Bank, images out of Lebanon. A famine out of God, and an American president who tells Netanyahu, go. You're unrestrained until his war in Iran goes horribly wrong. So you can blame all of this on Benjamin Netanyahu. And yes, if you go back to the whole...
It's so fucking shameless, dude. Holy shit. Oh my God.
Wars of October 7th, blame the funding for that.
Okay, let's read between the lines here. So obviously he's scapegoating. Obviously this is a shameless effort to read which way the wind is blowing. The real red pill here, in my opinion, is that his rhetoric suggests that democratic support for Israel is an unmovable given that cannot be altered. The only way you could blame Netanyahu for the loss of Zionist Democrats in New York City is if you think that Democrats are, by nature, obligated to defend Israel, and Netanyahu's just failed to live up to his end of the bargain by being so unlikable. Like, what he's doing here is actually very undemocratic. It seems democratic because he's reading, the writing on the wall and trying to follow the whims of the voters, but it's actually deeply undemocratic because he's failing to account for the possibility that Democrats, are Democrats. Our guys, the way they do, could just, not be pro-Israel. You could just be a good person and hate Israel the same way you should hate Nazi Germany. The same way any good person should despise Nazi Germany, you should hate Israel. And you should hate Zionists. The same reason you should hate people who defended Nazi Germany. You can just do that. But his insistence that this is Netanyahu's fault is like, well, what did you expect us to do? Not defend Israel? It's fucking pathetic. This is embarrassing. This is much worse than I expected it to be. I've looked him up. I've looked this bit up from Joe Scarborough, and it's actually getting a decent amount of media attention, including its own article on MS Now, which is interesting. I guess it's so shameless, broadcasting this sign of weakness. But also, dog, we fucking despise you. We hate you, Joe. You are a symptom of everything wrong with the Democratic Party. You're an insincere, longtime party hack. with deep Republican sympathies. You were literally the #1 program watched by Joe Biden during his presidency, and yet somehow all of your, sterling moral opposition to Netanyahu did nothing to sway Joe Biden during his time in office. Fuck you. It's so fucking pathetic, man.
Netanyahu as well, because he forced the Qataris to continue funding Hamas weeks before the October 7th attack. So again, everybody's going to want to blame somebody else for this.
Like you?
The guy on the left is the reason why Israel's standing, not only in New York City, but across America, is lower than it has been since 1948. And you're starting to see that in elections, not only on the far left.
Why not just not support Israel then? It's insane that like no one is around to step into frame and be like, why not blame the Democrats for supporting the bad country then? Why not? I don't know, man. I'm getting steadily more angrily now. Yeah, I mean, it's worth remembering, and I hope this is not a controversial statement. Like, Netanyahu is a worse person than almost anyone in office in America, but I hate the Democrats who support him more than I hate him. Like, Netanyahu is like Hitler. He's an abstract evil. He's not American. I mean, he's certainly, I don't consider him American. I don't care, to me, he's like a distant foreign evil. But the Democrats who are willing to sacrifice the future longevity of this country, the will of their constituents, our money, our weapons, everything at the foot of Israel, just so they can cynically appeal to like the capitalists who are using Israel as a wedge issue to try to disingenuously appeal to people on the right and the left. I hate you far more. Far more. You all agree with that, right? Like the deep interpersonal seething hatred reserved for traitors is always worse than the hatred for the outright enemy. It's like a common. You focus on Judas, not the Romans. You knew what the Romans were going to do. Judas was the one who sold them out for 30 silver or whatever.
But on the far right.
Yeah, what you just said there about Netanyahu being the central figure is precisely what I was texting with some New York Democratic operatives last night.
Of course we have to support Israel. We have no choice. We're loyal to them over America. If only Netanyahu wasn't such an unreliable partner in this deal.
The people on the right like to blame Mamdani. They like to say there's a culture of anti-Semitism here, and people can have their own opinions. That's not what this was about. Brad Lander, of course, Jewish himself. This is about the support for Israel and the conduct of that war. Dan Goldman, this shows you how toxic it is. Dan Goldman, as of late 2024, was also running away from it. So it's denounced it, said this has gone too far, tried to move away from his position that had initially been supportive. But that shows you just how toxic Bibi and his Netanyahu and his conduct of the
always Bibi, always such a cynical, such a disingenuous these fucking liars, man. When Netanyahu inevitably gets replaced, they're gonna be like, it's gonna be like a new fucking leaf for Israel. These people are all going to pretend. I hate them so fucking much. I hate these people. They all know what they're doing. They all know that the entire Israeli political establishment is as bad as, if not worse than Netanyahu. They all know it. They're fully aware of it. They're all lying to you. This is why they're losing. This is why we're going to win. Because at the end of the day, they are slaves to their consultants and their corporate interests. They cannot pivot the way they would need to appeal to the electorate, because to do so would be to betray their actual masters. People like, Mamdani don't have actual masters, except for the constituents. A pure, resonant political thought, a motivation, and a zeitgeist that is authentic and earnest and built up solidly from its base, not some crumbling pillar of salt that's based almost entirely off of willful capitulation to people who hate every living American.
has been, where he couldn't overcome that. And Lander, who had been far more critical, was able to win. So that is a big piece of the story here in New York. And yeah, and then the Mamdani coattails is the other element here. There's no question.
Not the will of the voters. Those are the two elements, man. Netanyahu betrayed us by not being more subtly evil, and also Kingmaker had nothing to do with the voters. The will of the voters, the intentions of the voters, nah.
Yahoo stuff, Joe and Mika, loomed large in that race, perhaps more than any other factor, and we'll see how that plays out going forward, because as a final thought, I had conversations last night with some Democrats about other races coming up this fall and in 2028, and there's no doubt that the Netanyahu stuff looms large. As long as he's in power. Once he's out, that could change things.
So they can't be more transparent. Literally, they could not be. They're so fucking stupid. They can't even, unlike the Republicans, who are capable of managing, the incredible logistical complexity of a fucking group chat where they settle on narratives beforehand. The Democrats, who are stupid and always trying to play catch up with the donors, have to publicly signal this. They have to be we're not going to change. We're going to blame our failings on Netanyahu, but when Netanyahu gets replaced, maybe everything will be different. Who knows? They're just openly talking to the capital class. This makes me respect Republicans more than Dems. I mean, you should, because unlike Democrats, Republicans believe in politics. I'm sorry, but that's a really important prerequisite to being a competent politician. Again, you hate the traitors most, right? These people are, and I'm just being straightforward, these people are as concerned with your well-being as Donald Trump is. They fucking hate you. Everything they say, every statement, every little omitted phrase, the consistent reference to Netanyahu rather than Israel, that pathetic, hasty last bit, oh, maybe things will change when he's out, as if there's any evidence to suggest that point. All of it signals an equal level of contempt for you, as demonstrated by any Republican in office. They're just playing two halves of the culture war, buddy, okay? They do not care. Okay, but Republicans want to kill good people in the world? So do they. What do you mean? They're Zionists. They're literally running defense for the Zionist industrial complex right now by pretending that Netanyahu's personal failings are responsible for their loss rather than their willful capitulation to a fascist ethno-state that's trying to end the world. The world-ending front right now is happening, okay? The Third Temple movement, that shit, they're with it. They might say they're opposed to it, but I don't hear them talking about it. When was the last time you heard Joe Scarborough attack the Third Temple dipshits in Israel? When was the last time you saw a segment where he was like, damn dog, it's crazy. Israel's a fucking ethno-nationalist death state that's actively trying to bring about a doomsday prophecy. The crazy thing is that Joe is actually not the most rabid Zionist, He's actually not. He's not. There are people in the Democratic Party far, far worse than Joe Scarborough. It's just that, again, it's varying levels of willful, malicious contempt versus indifferent contempt. But they hate you all the same. Oh, they hate you. Never forget that Joe is a GOP convert, by the way. Yeah. He's Meghan McCain, really. He's just one step above her, basically. A uniparty dipshit, feels unrepresented by the Republicans, but he shifted over before Trump, though he was happy to bend the knee to Trump after Trump won a second time, went over to Mar-a-Lago and kissed the ring. So, fuck him.
But the conduct of that war in Gaza is going to be a fundamental issue for Democrats for years to come.
Pieces of shit. Letitia James to Isaac DeVere, she and other political leaders she's spoken to are disappointed Mamdani. Letitia James, unfortunately, has been very disappointing lately. Showing up at that Nazi rally in New York and endorsing it, really, really, really bad. I wonder if they got to her. What the fuck is this, man? Some of the candidates Mamdani supported are individuals who do not understand the politics of New York City, the cultural differences from district to district, who have not been part of the history and struggle of some of these districts. What the fuck are you talking about, Letitia James? Literally, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? They won. What are you doing? James said she and other political leaders she's spoken to were disappointed Mamdani. All of us are a little frustrated with the Democratic Party, but you don't blow it up. That's what MAGA has done. How exactly is Mamdani blowing up the Democratic Party. He is supporting candidates, and the candidates win because of the historic unpopularity of the incumbents. Letitia James is captured. I mean, we should have figured after that Nazi rally she attended.
His political muscle. He's backing some candidates for the primary in New York.
This is DeRosa. This is the disgraced secretary to Cuomo, under assistant, whatever, who resigned after it turns out that he couldn't stop touching, molestono.
Tomorrow, challenging some congressional candidates in the Democratic Party. And this is coming as some of these candidates are saying this is the beginning of a domino effect for the socialist power to go across the nation and in the Democratic Party in particular. We're back with the panel. Alyssa, let me start with you. I mean, do you see this as a major shift for the Democratic Party?
Well, first of all, they're not Democrats, right? They're socialists, and they're essentially parasites. They've decided that they cannot win on their own by creating their own party, so they are going to latch onto the Democratic Party, feed off of it, with the overall goal of taking it over and killing it.
Yes. What are you going to do about it? Like, the voters voted for us. I don't know what you want. I don't know. Like I'm sorry. Like I know it's very inconvenient for you that we live in a democracy, and you would prefer it if we lived in like an oligarch rape pen. But like that is how democracy works. Yeah. You pitch a message to the voters. The voters chose us. What do you want? Wait, I thought socialists were such a small part of the population you could ignore them. Yeah. But that's how it is, right? They laugh at you, they mock you, they say you're irrelevant, and then when you start winning, they're like, no, that's cheating! You can't beat my unpopular message with a popular one. No! Jessica Ramos, who endorsed Cuomo over Mamdani, lost her race last night. Yep. Yes, sir. She betrayed him. Fucking Judas. Anyway, yeah, no, this woman doesn't really have any qualifications apart from being secretary to Cuomo. That's it. That's like her entire career, my understanding. Let me see. At 16, DeRosa was an intern for the political director of the New York State AFL-CIO, attended a private school, Albany Academy for Girls, Cornell University, worked in the Senate office of Hillary Clinton for Washington, D.C. during a summer. Okay, so she's literally like a groomed from birth deep state agent who's mad that she couldn't ride the coattails of Cuomo to power in D.C. That's it. Her entire life, she was being groomed for power in public office. She has no real positions or beliefs. She was hoping to get up there with Cuomo, but Cuomo ended up, being a fucking sex pest. So it kind of tanked her as well. So now she's mad. Gotcha. All these people are the same, man. They're literally, like, not people. DeRosa worked as director of communications and legislation for the Albany-based lobbying firm Cordo and Company. No real job. They never have any real... They're not real people. Literally, from, like, birth to death, they're just run through the revolving door of consultant and lobbying groups. They have no, like, actual route to the world. New York State Director of Organizing for America, a project of the DNC founded after Barack Obama, Deputy Chief of Staff and later Acting Chief of Staff for New York State Attorney General, became Director of Comms for Andrew Cuomo, then Strategic Advisor, then Chief of Staff, appointed to serve on the Transition Committee for Joe Biden, Steve Richetti's Senior Advisor, But then she had to resign because of the Cuomo shit. Yeah. Gotcha. Then, of course, she published a memoir. Kirkus Reviews describes the book as an angry, raw, and briskly told memoir. Yay. Reviews were more critical. Publishers Weekly wrote that DeRosa defends the former governor at every turn, including in relation to the nursing home and sexual harassment controversies. DeRosa married Matthew Wing, an Uber senior communications officer, formerly Cuomo press secretary. Again, like... Do liberal Democrats, do moderate Democrats understand how bad this makes them look? That the greatest enemies of Mamdani and the authentic, genuine Democratic socialist candidates are these deep state grooming cultists Like no real they always marry in class. They're like an American aristocracy, just like cycling between consultant and lobbying firms and corporate fucking seriously. Uber senior comms office and former Cuomo press secretary and then comms director for the governor's re-election campaign. Like, it's never real people. They're never like, oh yeah, she married a guy she met at a coffee shop and fell in love with. They marry the same way noblemen in medieval Europe sell off their daughters for like strategic marriages. You want to make sure one of your 8 daughters goes off and marries a different like duke or baron or whatever, so that you have like the greatest possible degree of intermingling. Like it's all these fucking people. They're all the same. Every time I look at a Wikipedia page for one of these fucking ass mad, how dare the Democratic Socialists beat us at our own game with our own voters, it's always the same person. Her ex-husband's mom was the former acting U.S. attorney for the Southern New York District. It says below they're bred for this. Yup.
And so that's what the DSA is doing. They started this back in...
Also, she looks evil. Like, phrenology betrays her in this case as well. She looks like she's had too much work done. Evil face. Yeah, sorry.
2016 with Bernie versus Hillary. AOC then gets elected in 2018. You see the introduction of the squad and what's been happening since then. And so this year, they really do feel like it's their big opportunity. They are going for broke. And you don't see them trying to win purple seats or red seats. You see them...
Nah, we win with Democrats, bitch. Oh, no, sorry. We just win with your voters. My bad. Or do you consider, like, Republicans your voters? Yeah, we're popular with, the people who are in our party. These are our seats now. She does have Mar-a-Lago face. They can always give it away. Speaking of people being ass mad, Van Jones laughing at dead Gazan children.
What do you think Democrats
he looks mad.
New York City should be learning from this?
Well, first of all, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head-to-head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate...
It's actually being surprisingly level right now. We'll see if it turns over.
Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that, look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency. And the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
CNN has a projection.
Oh, okay. I expected him to be a little more ass mad about it. Okay. I'm a little disappointed that he wasn't. We know internally he's mad.
I'm going to go straight to John King over at the
And that projection, Abby, means that the mayor, Mamdani, does get a sweep of the 3 races in which he endorsed in Democratic primaries tonight. The Democratic Socialist candidate, Danielisa Avila Chevalier, beating a powerful Democratic, long-standing Democratic incumbent, Adriano Espaillat.
Is it true that Chevalier is an adult Islamic convert, by the way? That is so fucking funny. On some Cassius Clay shit.
Much more narrow race than the other 2 districts here, but this is, again, a Democrat. This is a mayor making a statement. This is a candidate making a statement. You're having a conversation with your panel about we want new, we want different, and yes, we want more liberal. In this particular case, Espaillat is certainly a Democrat and a progressive, but this is part of the generational divide. We've also seen the Democratic Party. We want new, we want younger, but there's 1 for the mayor. There's 2 for the mayor. And there's 3 tonight. So the conversation is going to be, Abby, number 1, how much power does Zoran?
Jeffries was pissed this morning.
Is Mamdani making enemies on Capitol Hill by endorsing against incumbents right now?
Listen, the mayor and I agreed to strongly disagree about some of his endorsements.
Oh,
he's got work to do in terms of the conversations that he's going to have with members of Congress moving forward.
What's your relationship with the mayor as it stands today?
It's a very good one. We speak regularly.
Do you think Democratic voters want Democrats in Congress to be more progressive?
I think you got to look at the totality of all 215 members of the House Democratic Caucus, and that answer speaks for itself.
Just you wait. Oh, he's such a pussy. He's a massive pussy, dude. He can't even like respond directly. Like, you know, well, we represent the majority in the House within Democrats. He has to like gesture at it. He has to poke at it, you know? He can't say it directly. Brad Lander, Lotus Flower. You're next. Yeah. How was he Pelosi's protege? I mean, again, it's the rot, right? Like, Pelosi was very competent, but the more you select for candidates who are deferential and weak, the more likely it is over time that you get incompetent. It's the same thing that happened with the aristocracy, right? You have like, what is the most competent kind of authoritarian, right? One who is forged in adversity, one who has to overcome trial after trial after trial to attain power. Somebody who circumstances mean that if they were ever incompetent, they would be killed immediately, right? The most competent leaders, the most competent, like, single leader, authoritarian leader, are people who had no choice but to be competent. But then they build an era of peace or security or whatever, and then their descendants invariably are fuckwits. Same thing. Pelosi existed in an era of American politics where there was external and internal pressure for the Democrats to be competent in their opposition to Republicans, at least on some level. Was it still kind of a uniparty dynamic? Yes. But notably, Pelosi was active in politics before the Bill Clinton gesture of consolidation with Republicans, you know? When Bill Clinton bent the knee and said, sure, we'll do neoliberalism too, you know? Pelosi was around and active back when there were real stakes, you know? It's crazy to think about now, like, especially if you were politically active during the Obama era, but like during the 1960s and 1970s, there was actually a lot of like firebrand disagreement across the aisle. Like back in the 1960s and 70s, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle fucking hated the other guys. They weren't all attending the same parties. They weren't all like smugly going to the same donors. There were real ideological disagreements. It was after Clinton that the Democratic Party centered on essentially the same economic mantra as Reagan. And after that, like, everyone was just attending the same damn, you know, party. That's why Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are in the Epstein files. That's the reason why they were schmoozing it up with all the Wall Street execs and, you know, New York Republicans. Same types of guys, right? But that wasn't the case back in like the 60s, you know, maybe with some people, but by and large, the Republican and Democratic political machines had very, very different priorities back then, even after the party swap. So yeah, no, Pelosi was party to an era where that was the case, but Jeffries wasn't. Jeffries has only been politically active in an era where the secret agenda of the Democratic Party was to do what the donors wanted you to do, and the will of the voters is kind of immaterial. So of course he's not going to be competent.
All right, this is a Fox News Alert. Incumbent Congressman Dan Goldman, who was just banned from a New York City coffee shop because of his support for Israel. He has now lost his primary to a radical socialist backed by Mamdani. It appears that
he's like he crying.
You know, a pretty scary transformation is now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I bet it's scary. Yeah, man. Fucking 30-point flip. Stay scared. Hey, you believe what makes them nervous, okay?
Fully underway in the Democratic Party, especially in a blue state like New York.